Heyo! This is going to be the most chill sounding ride review ever. Let's talk about Parallelogram. For how small the ride actually looks, it's got a pretty wide space that it's supposed to sit on. So it suffers from a lot of the same spatial problems that Overpower does, but we'll talk about how you can manage that in just a second. You can put its entrance and exit on any side of the ride, but as is usually the case with flat rides, you'll want to put it towards where the platform of the ride is and stairs leading up to it. Having the exit closest to the maintenance building is going to help your mechanics get to it sooner than they would otherwise. Parallelogram actually only has a footprint of 702 units, which isn't a lot compared to a lot of the other stuff. But bear in mind, it's not that tall vertically. So the space that its quote-unquote box occupies is actually not that big. Capacity for this ride is 40. You can see just from how many seats there are here. So using my usual formula, let's divide 40 by 7 and then round up. So that would be 42. We need about 6 of these, and then triple that if you want to get about the amount of path that you need in total. So you can see right about how long your line should be. So I've always said about 7 guests are able to occupy a 1 by 1 square queue right about. Every time you multiply 1, you basically add 7 until you reach the capacity of the ride. I like to triple that number so that guests can overflow if they need to. The normal prestige rating for Parallelogram is 216. This is not enough for it to be classic, meaning you cannot just set and forget. If you wanted to get over that hump and get the 40% bonus at the end of basically 5.33 days of operation, then you need to do some modifications to the ride sequence. By default, this ride makes $1.80 and is ranked number 77th out of 112 on my Flat Rides research page. It's within the bottom 3/4 of rides there. Not a good look. So let's change this. We're going to add 3 more ride sequences, and then we're going to change it to swing, loop, loop, 2 instances of reverse, swing at the very end, and then a loop before that. Go on Frontier Workshop, and if I search Parallelogram, someone may have made a version of this ride which does not have all of the path around it. People have done the work already to get rid of a lot of the path around the outside of the ride. So sometimes they'll just upload that specifically. This user, Planet Coaster, I assume is from the Coaster Sim Society, who has been taking Foggy 3D's idea behind getting rid of a lot of the path around the outside of this ride, and it eventually can just look like this. And so I highly advise you, if you're going to be placing this in an area that you're going to be heavily theming or turning into a more refined blueprint at the end of the day, you can use something like that. And this is what it looks like. Just a straight queue all the way across. Guests will enter from one direction and they'll exit from the other. And the orientation of these gates is just so that if mechanics were to come and service the ride, they would do so from the correct direction, and it wouldn't take them 2 years to get to the staff building. It has gone from the original amount of prestige to 360, which is above the benchmark for it to become classic. It has a duration of 158 seconds, which is about 2.5 minutes. Not the longest ride in the world. Should be comfortable for mechanics to get in and do their thing when they need to, before the ride breaks down or causes any other major problems. Has an excitement rating of 2.31, a fear rating of 2.11, and a nausea rating of 2.03. Not enough to make it a significant problem. This is overall a pretty good family ride and fits for any park, especially if you use the lower footprint. You can fit it into many places where it normally would not look like it could fit. It has a bargain price of 9.25. Putting it at a low price per second at around 50th on my sheet out of 112, which is in the 50th percentile of all the rides. So it's flat middle of the road. Could it be better? Sure. However, considering it's a very straightforward ride and it's very safe to place down, I think it's exactly where it needs to be. Overall though, very straightforward ride, very simple. Guests will like it enough, and it's very safe to place in any park that you would want to. Because it is perfectly average, I'm not inclined to give it a very high rating. High 50th on the sheet is not very great. I'm not thrilled with the footprint of it. Kind of reminds me of Upswing in a way. Although you can place the entrance exit pretty anywhere you want. However, the exit is almost always going to go in the same place every single time. So that only leaves you with a little bit of wiggle room for the entrance to go. I think Perfectly Average Ride goes in the 2-star category. It's something that you place because you basically have to if you have it available to you. It is in the main game, so you don't need to buy DLC to place this down and use it in your own parks. And I think I've exhausted all of the things I wanted to say about this ride. And so Perfectly Average sounds like a C to me, even though that's basically 2-star on the actual rankings. I'll revisit all of these at the very end of the ride review series. We'll see where everything lines up, especially after a couple of updates. Perhaps Frontier has some plans for these. That's it for ride review. Hope you did enjoy. Have a good one, that's in order. Follow a good soldier, etc., etc. Bye, YouTube. And hello, Twitch.